Hello, I know this has been a while since I've been in front of the camera, and if you're looking at this and thinking that the background or something looks different, this is because I'm using my XC10. The reason behind that is I would be using my C100 Mark II, but my main tripod is broken. I was out on a film shoot, had my camera on the tripod, and the leg bent out. I took a look down at it and I thought, well, doesn't look good, but I'll just bend it back into place. Apparently, you can't bend tripod legs back into place, otherwise this happens. So for now I'm using a smaller, lighter tripod, which means I have to use the XC10. But anyway, on with the video. Canon has recently announced a new mirrorless camera, a mirrorless full-frame camera to be specific, the Canon EOS R. Now, as usual, this camera has a mix of opinions and feedback based on Canon's design. And today I'm going to look at what the sort of things people saying are and if I agree with them or if I disagree with them. Earlier this year, Canon released a different mirrorless camera, the EOS M50. That was also met with some mixed responses. I thought it was quite a good camera, but as I predicted, they were waiting to build up to a bigger, more professional mirrorless camera higher up in the mirrorless range. So first of all, let's start off with what people don't like about this new EOS R. Now, one of the things really confuses me. No dual card slots. Now, I do understand what people are saying, that CFast cards can fail, but it's not like CFast cards are inherently more likely to fail than SD cards or other types of media. They're not Metabone speed boosters, they don't just randomly break. I would be confident in just recording all of my footage to a CFast 2.0 card when I'm on a shoot. And if you're the kind of person that's really worried about shooting to CFast and you want to have absolutely the best camera system possible, the EOS R outputs higher quality through a HDMI port, so why not just use an external recorder? And then you can choose whatever external recording media you like, and you'll have two different recordings. So that way if one of them fails, you'll still have a backup. Personally, I do not think that the lack of dual card slots is a particularly big deal. Secondly, the new lens mount. Apparently this could be seen as just another way of making people buy more lenses. Maybe, but I don't think that's the case. After all, you can buy an adapter, and this adapter will be sold by Canon, so it won't just randomly break. I think we know what I'm talking about there. It's an adapter that you can trust, and they do 3 different versions of the adapters. They do a normal adapter, as you'd expect to adapt Canon EF lenses onto the RF mount, but they also do one with built-in ND filters, and another one with a polarizer. The polarizer adapter is kind of cool, but the ND one, for me, that's a really big thing. Having ND built into the XC10 and the C100 Mark II makes my life so much easier, and being able to have an adapter that puts that on a mirrorless camera, that is a good idea. Sure, this makes the camera a bit more expensive, but for either having built-in ND or for having a built-in polarizer, I think it's worth it. And to be honest, the RF lenses, they do look good, so if you don't have a large collection of existing EF lenses, then I think it is worth looking at getting some of the new EF, RF. Too many... you get the idea. I think it is worth looking at some of the new RF lenses if you're considering buying this camera. The 24-70 in particular does look like a really high quality lens. And the smart ring thing, I don't think I've seen that on any other camera system. Being able to control the aperture or something else via the programmable ring controls, that looks like it would be very convenient, and it's a very good idea. Now, on to the big one. This camera has a full frame sensor, and it can record 4K at a 1.7 times crop, which is definitely not full frame. A lot of people were very disappointed about this, and to be fair, I can see why. But there seems to be a consensus on the internet that this is done to protect a higher up camera in the Canon lineup. What camera are they protecting? Because as far as I'm concerned, the only Canon camera that can record 4K on a full frame is the C700FF. Now looking at the price of the EOS R, which would be around £2,000, and the C700FF, I think there's quite a big difference and people aren't going to be choosing between one or the other. So I don't think Canon's done this to protect their higher up market. Apparently, the reasons provided by Canon are that it's a way to get a higher quality image by not pixel binning or something along those lines. Do I think that's possible? Yes, I think that is possible. Would people rather have a higher quality 1.7 crop or a slightly less quality full frame 4K video? I don't know. But I think there's a reason why Canon is cropping all of its sensors in. I think it is the way that Canon handles video and sensors and downsampling and stuff like that in order to get a nice clean image with no aliasing or moire or any other undesirable artifacts. This is the method that Canon has chosen to do. Now the counter argument to that is, well, Canon could have just given you the option to choose between a higher quality 1.7 crop or a full frame 4K. I guess Canon has a reason for it. After all of the Canon Cinema series, apart from the C700FF, do have a APS-C or Super 35mm crop. So maybe Canon knows something about full frame video. I don't know. Personally, I'm not too bothered by not having full frame. I'm now very used to having a 1.6 or a 1.5 times crop, so for me personally, not too much of a big deal, but I do understand how people who might be looking at an A7 series or some other full frame camera could be a little annoyed by this. The one complaint that I do agree on is 1080p at 120 FPS would have been nice. 720p is a bit low resolution now for 2018. That does feel like it's something to protect the 1DX Mark II or the Canon cinema cameras, like the C200. But now, moving on to the positives of the camera, there's quite a lot of things to like. Of course, being a Canon camera, it has dual pixel autofocus, which is the best autofocusing system there is. People say that Sony comes close, it doesn't. Sony autofocus is good, it's probably second after Canon, but nothing comes close to the magic of Canon dual pixel autofocus. The footage from the EOS R, or at least the limited amount of footage I've seen, I'm specifically referring to Devin Graham's video, that looks very nice and I'm very excited to see more footage in the future. The camera has a fully articulating screen, so if you want to do some vlogging or you want to film yourself or you want to hold the camera at a high or low angle, then you can do that very easily. The 4K footage is at a nice and high bitrate of 480 megabits per second, and you can get 10-bit HDMI output to an external recorder. And of course, one of the really big things is that this camera shoots in C-Log, and it's not an optional upgrade like the 5D Mark IV, this camera comes with C-Log. I'd be very interested to see some video tests comparing the new EOS R to the 5D Mark IV. Sadly, I own neither, because they're expensive, but I'm sure someone's going to do a video like that, and maybe one day I can do videos like that too. So please subscribe and maybe one day I can do videos like that. I think this camera does have a lot of potential for independent filmmakers and for people doing YouTube who want a very high quality 4K image. Let me know what you think about the EOS R in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing so that maybe one day I can buy an EOS R. See you later.